All right, welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on politics. And no, we're not just talking about the usual stuff like campaigns and elections. We're digging into the real playbook, how politicians actually wield power and, control the world around us. So, let's get right into it.
So let's just start with the biggest question of all. How do they really do it? I mean, how does some decision made hundreds of miles away actually end up changing your day-to-day life? It's a pretty fascinating and, honestly, often hidden process.
Because the truth is, it goes so much deeper than just what we see on TV. Real power, the kind that lasts, is all about controlling the systems, the money, the information, and the people that make society tick. We're going to break it all down, layer by layer, starting with the one that's most out in the open.
First up, the official rule book. Think of this as the stuff you might have learned in a civics class. These are the formal, official structures that are, supposed to govern how everything works.
Okay, so let's talk about the word on this slide, bureaucracy. I know, it sounds kind of boring, but really, you should think of it as the engine of the government. Politicians don't personally deliver the mail or enforce regulations, they direct this huge, sprawling network of people and departments to do it for them. It is the absolute key link between an idea and it actually happening in the real world.
So this slide here lays out the basic process, and it's pretty straightforward. First, politicians make the rules. They pass laws and create policies. Second, that bureaucracy we just talked about puts those rules into action. And third, and this is crucial, politicians control the budgets that pay for the whole shebang. At the end of the day, whoever controls the rules and the money, well, they control the outcome.
But this control doesn't just stop with government departments. As we can see here, it seeps into the really core institutions that shape our society, our culture, and even how we think about the world.
Just think about it for a second. By influencing who gets promoted in the police force, or what history gets taught in schools, or even by subtly pressuring the courts through judicial appointments, politicians can steer the direction of an entire country. And not just for today, but for generations to come. It is the long game.
But what if you want to influence that official rulebook itself? Well, that brings us to our second layer, the influence game. This is where things get a lot less official, and you could argue way more powerful. It's all about controlling what people think, and of course, who can afford to have their voice heard.
On one hand, you've got media influence. This is all about shaping narratives, making sure certain stories get highlighted, and using social media algorithms to push a specific message right into people's feeds. Then, on the other hand, you have straight-up misinformation, just spreading confusion and division as a political tool. Both are incredibly powerful ways to control what the public thinks before a single vote is even cast.
This quote really gets to the core of the other side of this influence game, money. And it's a two-way street, right? Money can absolutely buy political influence, and political power can be used to generate a ton of wealth. They feed each other.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. You have corporations funding campaigns, obviously expecting some friendly policies in return. You have massive government contracts getting awarded to businesses that just happen to have political connections. And all the while, you've got powerful lobbyists working behind the scenes, talking directly to lawmakers. It's a cycle that is incredibly difficult to break.
Okay, so let's bring all this down from the big national level right to the ground. Our third layer is the people network. This is all about how power is built and maintained through loyalty, community, and sometimes through fear and favors.
This is politics at its most raw, its most personal. It's about building a base of die-hard loyalists. It's about promising specific benefits to entire communities or unions just to lock in their votes, a strategy that's known as securing vote banks. And it's about using that classic carrot and stick approach, either rewards for loyalty or punishments for stepping out of line.
This chart is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Look at those numbers. If a politician can lock down the loyalty of Community C, they suddenly have this massive advantage. Let's say Community C is a town where the main employer is a struggling factory. A politician might come in and promise a big government contract to keep that factory open. Bam! That one promise could secure all 8,500 of those votes, making it almost pointless to even campaign anywhere else.
All right. And for our fourth and final layer of the playbook, let's zoom all the way out to the world stage. Because in our world today, power is absolutely not just a local or a national game anymore.
This is where a politician's influence can get magnified like crazy. Think about it. A favorable trade deal with another country could bring a wave of jobs to a key district right back home. Securing international funding for a huge new project can make a leader look incredibly powerful and effective. It's really about using global resources to achieve local political goals.
So let's just do a super quick recap of the 4 key layers of this political playbook. You've got the formal systems and institutions, the official rulebook. Then there's the game of information and money. After that, you have the direct control of people through loyalty and leverage. And finally, the global connections that can supercharge a leader's power. It's all connected.
And that brings us to the final thought, and really, a question for you. Now that you have this framework, this playbook for how power really works, how does it change the way you see the world? When you watch the news or see a politician announce something, can you start to spot which parts of the playbook are being put into motion? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us.